Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Chris Botger's Album Club. Hey, that's me. Um, Anyways, today with me I have Ben
Hello.
and Matthew.
So,
Alright, now Santiago's on a little break this week, but we will still be doing the album club, and here at the beginning I will announce which albums we are doing and we'll give our sort of initial impressions of them. And then at the end, we will give our thoughts on the albums after having listened to them. Alright, so everyone ready to hear what the albums are?
yep.
Alright, good. So here are the albums. The albums are Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen and After Laughter by Paramore. Alright, now I want to hear everyone's initial thoughts on these albums. We're going to start with you, Ben. What are your initial thoughts on these albums?
I feel like I've heard parts of After. At least. Yeah, I don't think I've listened to the whole way through. I've heard This Is Why all the way through. I haven't heard After. I don't think all the way through. But I've heard parts of it at least. So that's not just like coming out of nowhere for me. Thus Call Me Maybe happens to be on this Carly Rae Jepsen album, which I'm assuming it isn't. I don't know it. So, I mean, I know who she is, obviously, but I don't know this album offhand, or like, what's on it. I mean, it's a pop album, I'm assuming. But otherwise, I don't really have much to say.
Alright, Matthew, what are your initial thoughts on these two albums?
I'm well familiar with both of these albums. I am a fan of both of these artists. Um, I I would even say one of them I actually went to a concert to with my dad, and these are really fun albums. One of my favorites, and um, yeah, looking forward to it.
Alright, well, as some high initial thoughts, I have heard the Paramore albums before, the most recent one, I think that's This Is Why, and I've also heard, like, the self-titled album from, like, the early 2010s all the way through as well, but I have not heard After Laughter. As for Carly Rae Jepsen, yeah, I don't really listen to her. I mean, I know that song Ben was talking about, Call Me Maybe, it's kind of a standard 2010s pop song, um, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'm otherwise just going into this kind of like, I kind of think I know what to expect, but like, I'm still pretty unfamiliar with these albums. Alright, we'll
Let's run
go.
away and go listen to these albums.
Alright, we are going to go listen to the albums, and we will be right back to give our thoughts. Okay, we've gone and listened to the albums now, and we're back to discuss our thoughts on them. Okay, now the album we're going to be starting with is Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen, and we're going to start with you, Ben. What are your thoughts on this album?
I like this album better than I was expecting to. Um, I can't say I loved every song on it, but I liked "Runaway with Me." I would say I really like you. That was a this is track that stood out to me. The song "Most of the Night" also stood out to me. As a good song, but the song I liked the best on this album was "Your Type." That was the one that I thought was the best. Now I don't, although Call Me Maybe, I don't know what people's like Carly Rae Jepsen's opinions are. So like that's just what I thought was the best song on here. I have basically no preconceptions of what's so good on this album. But the song I thought was the best was "Your Type." It stood out to me. Like I connected to some extent with it. It kind of also reminded me not musically at all, but like it kind of reminded me of the song "Your Woman" by White Town. It's surprise thematically. Although that song is obviously sung by a man. Uh, well, this one is actually about like a girl about a man instead of a.
How do we know it's about a man, though?
Well,
Be
that's.
about a woman.
I mean, I guess it could be. That's a good point. Let's see. Yeah, I guess it could be lesbians. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, we don't know. could be generally about anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think that song was I thought the best song on there. But like I said, the other songs I liked. The last couple songs I didn't find that great. I mean, like I kind of get the idea of both of them. I kind of even think the favorite cover law idea is at least I think it was a song worth making, but like um, it was I don't know. It felt a little odd. And yeah, but I thought altogether this album was pretty strong. Obviously, this is not really the music I listen to a lot. But I connected with parts of it at least.
All right. Well, moving on, Matthew. What were your thoughts on this album?
I actually I really like this album. um, this I've listened to a lot of Carly Rae Jepsen's work. I've said that I'm a fan of her work. This album particularly is my favorite of hers. I think the other one is The Loneliest Time was another one. That's like second favorite of hers. Of course, like as Ben said, like Run Away with Me is just like a song that never gets old. And I honestly think that this is way better than Call Me Maybe. Like I know like people think Carly Rae Jepsen is the Call Me Maybe girl, and Call Me Maybe is a really good song, but like she like puts out really good albums, and I think this is her best work. I think Runaway with Me, I really like you, and all the songs that Ben mentioned. It kind of loses steam at the end, but it's still like a really good time, and I really like this re-listening to this album.
All right. And now, for my opinion, um, I didn't really like this album. The songwriting and the production were pretty standard for modern pop. Not the type of music I generally like, anyways. There wasn't anything wrong with it, but I found the Carly Rae Jepsen's voice just kind of really annoying and grating. So no hate to her, but I really just couldn't stand it. The, the lyrics and the lyrics and the production, just pretty standard modern lyrics and production. Um, Lyrics were better than the production at least, but the vocal I just really wasn't my vibe. So yeah. All right. Moving on to the next album. The next album is After Laughter by Paramore. We are going to start with you, Ben. What were your thoughts on this album?
I also thought that this album was pretty good. I was more familiar with Palamore's work than Carly Rae Jepsen's. This was pretty similar to This Is Why, in my opinion. Which is the other Paramore album I've listened to. Um, so yeah, I liked it. I would say some tracks that stood out to me were the first three, and then I was gonna have more, but apparently it's the first three. Because I blanked out on what the other ones were. I would say in particular I like Rose Colored Boy. I thought that was the best song on here. Um, I don't know why. I don't really know anyone like that, but like I could definitely understand somebody that kind of joking around or like stuff when you're feeling stressed and like now I admittedly find that more comforting from people a lot of the times and less more complicated as Paramore portrays it. Um, but I still like got that emotion from that, and I really enjoyed that song. But really, the first three songs in particular, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed every other song too, um, though except for I think it's No Friend. Is that the one that's sung by somebody else?
Yes.
That one was kind of weird. It kind of reminded me of some tracks of Demon Days, which is not a bad thing, but like I don't know. It doesn't really belong on this.
I feel like that's
Uh,
everyone's opinion of After Laughter is that they didn't gel with that song.
so yeah, it's just like I don't know. Elmo is just not delivering an album that is like for that level of kind of weirdness. I mean, there's different types of weirdness that they'll find for, but like that's a specific weirdness from like the 2000s. Kind of doesn't gel with the kind of almost like synth pop. Well, it's definitely synth pop, a new wave sound that I liked about the rest of the album. Once again, especially in the first three tracks. Once again, as I know I've said before, but I guess maybe not on this channel. This album, kind of like This Is Why, reminds me of Blondie, and that's not a bad thing. It also kind of felt like there was maybe a little bit more Talking Head sounding stuff on this one than the next one, which I appreciated. Um, Thematically, obviously, the contents of this album deal with a lot of dark stuff, like it deals with depression. Um, while I have not really had a great past few weeks, I'm still probably too happy to be listening to this album. I was too happy yesterday, at least, to be listening to some of it properly, I guess. But I still really enjoyed listening to it, anyways. But if I was like more depressed or whatever, at the time I listened to it, it would have been maybe different in some ways. Which is also probably the reason why Rose Colored Boy stood out to me. Because I happened to listen to this album when I was not really moody or anything.
All right. Matthew, what were your thoughts on this album?
Where can I begin? I'll just say this beforehand. Um, this is either 1A, 1B, or 1C, my favorite album of all time. Basically come to terms with it. I knew I really loved this album. Um, but then I re-listened to it. I'm like, man, maybe I do like this album more than X, Y, and Z album because it was definitely in my top five favorite albums of all time. But I re-listened to it. I'm like, this may be my favorite album of all time. But I just really love this album. I think songs that really stuck out, were I think like Hard Times. I remember that was like the first song I remembered listen hearing from Paramore. It was due to because our good friend of the podcast, Todd in the Shadows, put it in his best song pop like hits. I forgot how he said it. Top 10 best songs of 2017. It was like an honorable mention, and then I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I have an older brother who loves Paramore as well, and it basically was like my gateway to Paramore. I think songs that stuck out was Rose Colored Boy, which I actually really enjoyed more than Hard Times. Also, I think Forgiveness and Fake Happy, 26, Cool, Idol Worship, and also my personal favorite uh, track of the album is Tell Me How, which is like such a like it's such like the lyrics are like emotionally like heart wrenching, like in a way that's very subtle. Um, there was like, especially like the one of the last lyrics is, "Keep me up with your silence, take me down with your quiet. With all the weapons you fight, is your silence is the most violent," which is like so like wow. I think also there's another track in This Is Why, um, that it has that similar effect, which I was like, that is just like, like wow, that's like it cuts deep, but like the themes of the album I really related to. So yeah, I really love this album.
All right, time for my thoughts now. Um, well, as I said earlier, I've already listened to Self-Titled and This Is Why, so the album's on either side of this one. I think song for song, this one was probably more consistent. I don't think there was any song on this album I liked as much as the song I liked best on either of those other two albums. But I think song for song, it was probably better. I thought the best songs here were probably Forgiveness, and maybe Pool. I also liked Hard Times, though. I also liked Fake Happy. Um, so, yeah. It wasn't like the best lyrics here. I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the lyrics. They were a bit too one note on the tone of breakups, in my opinion. But I think the delivery overall was pretty good. They got this new wave kind of calypso thing going on. I like Haley Williams' voice pretty well, I think. Um, and I think overall the delivery went pretty well here. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
I thought it was interesting how Ben said that he like told the third track, which is "Told You So." Like he was impressed by it. I think interesting enough, that's like one of my least favorite, which is weird because I still really love this album. But like the stuff from Rose Colored Boy, 26, Pool, Idol Worship, and Tell Me How, like really stood out to me. And even like upon re-listen, I remember re-listening because um, tracks like Forgiveness and I think Grudges, I kind of was like, they were cool. But then I re-listened to it and I'm like, man, these slap essentially, as the kids say. Um,
Alright, and up next we are going to say which album we liked better. Ben, we're going to start with you. Which one of these albums did you like better?
I liked um, After Battle, even though I know I named more songs from the other one for some reason. That's just because my mind was blacking out on some of my other thoughts. But I did actually enjoy After somewhat better. It just is somewhat in a style I like better.
Oh, well, Matthew, what about you? Which album do you like better?
I mean, it was clear to me which album I liked better. I mean, to break the ice, I loved After Laughter more. But then re-listening to Emotion, I was just like, man, I really, 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 really like this album, Emotion. And this is also, I would add, this is like the third straight episode where essentially I really liked both albums that have been offered. So yeah, After Laughter.
Alright, and I think everyone already knows what I'm going to pick. I'm going to also be picking After Laughter. So we have reached, for the second, I think, time in the history of Album Club, unanimous consent.
Yeah, it could have been third if Ben like pick didn't do a tie for our last album on Radiohead and Husker Zoo. Wait,
Yeah,
whatever they're.
who's going to do? Alright, and now for who picked the albums. Does anyone want to
Gee, I
guess?
wonder who did.
Does anyone does Ben? Do you want to guess who picked these albums?
Matthew.
Hmm. Indeed, Matthew picked both of these.
It was me. I was the one who picked both. This is the first time that someone an episode where both rep, uh, recommendations were by one person, and it was me.
No, we've had it be both of them by me before.
Oh, I forgot. Which one was that?
Um, the Susie and the Banshees and the Genesis one was both me.
Uh, Interesting. I wonder if that'll happen again.
Hmm. I wonder. Stay tuned. Alright, everybody. That's it for today's episode. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like and a subscribe. Once again, thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you in the next video.